I've been in this work for a long time, coaching through burnout, studying it, even being inside it myself. And now I'm training other coaches to work with it properly. And what I'm seeing now is something that I honestly didn't expect. Burnout coaching is trending. It's suddenly everywhere and everyone is adding it to their offers. Overnight, coaches have seemingly all become experts in burnout and they're sharing their insights and articles in Forbes and Harvard Business Review. So, of course, they are flooding our social feeds. And I'm not saying people can't evolve their work, but when I see someone suddenly teaching about burnout or talking about burnout and their entire practice used to be built around performance, productivity, and pushing through, then I just pause. Because burnout isn't something you pivot into. It's something you've lived, studied, coached through, and built language for in the quiet moments long before it was popular. And it's being treated like a niche instead of a safety standard. And that's a problem. Because burnout isn't just about work-life balance or saying no or going slower. And it's definitely more than just boundary setting and time management. Burnout is what happens when someone's identity, capacity, and nervous system are no longer in sync. And yet they're still trying to perform. They still are performing. And that's not a mindset issue. That is a collapse. And collapse doesn't always look like chaos. It certainly didn't for me. Sometimes, and actually very often, it looks like a high functioning client. And it's a high functioning client giving you the perfect answer, but with zero presence behind it, like they're numb. And if you don't know how to spot that, you will coach performance, you will coach momentum, and you'll miss the moment that their body was actually asking to be met. If you're a coach walking someone through that without the tools to recognize what state they're in, or the skill to pivot your work based on their actual capacity, you might be doing more harm than good, even if you care, even if you mean well. And I believe that most coaches do mean well. And that's the part most people don't want to hear. Right, the coaching industry has gotten really good at saying things like dysregulation, right? We're seeing it flooding our social feeds. Everyone's talking about nervous system dysregulation, but they're not so great at knowing what to do when your client is sitting in front of you, nodding, smiling, saying all of the right words, but they're completely out of their body. They're not in the room. Now, I've experienced burnout twice, and the first time it made me seriously ill. The second time, it nearly killed me. And whilst I know that my experience was more severe than most, I know it's not isolated. Over the last decade, I've coached over 700 leaders through burnout, leaders who, as a result of burnout, have had strokes, heart attacks, they've become ill, some very seriously ill. And I'm not sharing this for shock value. I'm sharing it because burnout doesn't just live in the mind, it lives in the body. And when coaches aren't trained to recognize the signals, it's not just the coaching that doesn't land. It's the human, the client who pays for it. And often the most difficult part of burnout is that when we're experiencing it for the first time, we don't think it's burnout, right? Because burnout doesn't happen to people like me. Burnout doesn't happen, right? This is what we hear, right? Burnout doesn't happen to the high performer that thrives under pressure and delivers their best work when under stress. These are the clients most likely to override, most likely to smile through it, most likely to convince you that they're fine. And if you're the kind of coach who's used to working with high capacity, high performance clients, then you're even more likely to miss it. And not because you're unskilled, but because you weren't taught how to read the body when the words say, I'm good. Now, we might have been taught some body language, but not in the way that burnout presents. And so as coaches, we keep going and we keep setting goals and keep focusing on performance and momentum. But here is what I know for sure. 12 years ago, if my coaches had been able to spot the signs of burnout, modify their coaching techniques and help me to really see and understand what was going on, I wouldn't have been living with chronic illnesses for the last 12 years. I wouldn't have needed major surgery last year. And my sons wouldn't have seen me struggle for over 12 years. And this is why I built the Burnout-Informed Coaching Accreditation, because I got tired of watching coaches who were selling support they weren't trained to deliver, who were coming in my DMs like, Kelly, I've got a client at burnout. Can you tell me what to do? This work isn't about saving people. It's not about diagnosing, and it's definitely not about just adding trauma to your brand. But it is about knowing what to do in the moment. In the moment when your client's nervous system cannot hold the coaching. And that's the piece that's missing. And if you've been feeling that gap, I want to say this to you. You're not behind. You're actually ahead. You don't need more buzzwords. The industry is full of enough of those already. And I don't believe in selling fear, and I'm not here to sell fear, but I do believe in naming harm. We're at a point in the industry where doing no harm isn't just about intentions. It's about skill, knowledge, and capacity. And if you've been sensing that your current tools don't quite hold what's showing up in your sessions anymore, that's not your fault. That is your integrity and your intuition working. And that tells me that you're ready for this, because you need skill, you want skill. And if you're ready to build it, then the Burnout Informed Coach is for you.